ago. And I can tell you that it has brought a lot of beautiful awareness to me. It was a very beautiful, loving process. And I'm integrating all of that right now. And I can't wait to share with you some of the treasures that I experienced on that process. And I know, a lot of you experienced loss, and we'll be talking about that at another time. I can tell you right now that as we enter the new year, I'm so grateful to have this body that gets to carry my spirit and my soul through this lifetime. And this is such a great time of year to reassess and reevaluate. How can we take care of this vessel? How can we just be the most vibrant we can be? And doTERRA is starting a Master Your Metabolism program that's going to be starting in a few weeks. And so this is the kickoff for that. So you guys have some understanding of what this program is about, and you can see if it's something that is a good thing for you. And when I was in, and just so you know, I'm actually going to be using my notes today because my brain, I'm grieving, and when you're grieving, your brain just completely becomes a sieve. You can't even remember your own freaking phone number. Some of you know what I'm talking about. So I may be using my notes now, quite a few of them, just so you know. When I was in medical school, like ages ago, like over 20 years ago, I had this patient come in to see me, and he said, I think there's something wrong with my metabolism. He had anxiety, he had panic attacks, he had all of this, he had hypertension, he had joint pain, he had all kinds of issues. He had this digestive thing where he would get in so much pain that he would call 911 on frequent occasion. And yeah, he also had this belly. And I remember I was trying to work through all of my notes and figure out what was going on with this guy and how we could help him. And my doctor, who was overseeing my clinic shift that day, just looked at me and he goes, he already told you, it's your metabolism. It's his metabolism. And I just thought, he had so many symptoms. I didn't think about it as being a metabolic issue. And a lot of us don't know what metabolism is. Part of why I want to talk to you today is talk to you about what is your metabolism? What happens when it's messed up? How can you bring it back into balance so that you can figure out if this Mastering the Metabolism program is a good match for you or not? So, metabolism. Oh, and also I want to answer that question that so many of you have is, will this help me lose weight, right? And I have a ton to say about weight and weight loss and even just that languaging. I'm not going to go into all of that right now, but we will talk about that. We'll talk about some today, and we'll talk about it sometimes down in the future. So metabolism, what does it mean? Metabolism means all chemical reactions in the body that maintain a living state of the cells and the organism. Okay, so what the heck does that mean? It can really be broken down into two broad functions. One is called anabolism. Grow new cells, store energy, maintaining body tissues. And the other one is called catabolism, which is breakdown of molecules, fat, carbohydrates, protein, to obtain energy from the anabolic stuff like building new cells, supporting your immune system, creating your hormones. If you think about this like Legos, so you get a Lego kit and you want to build the car, the spaceship, the house from that. That's the anabolic process. That's the one of building new cells. And then say you built your spaceship and now you want to build an airport. So you break down the spaceship and you create an airport. That's the catabolism. Catabolism is also when we eat food. So when we put protein, carbohydrates, and sugars into our body, that breaks down, that's a catabolic process. You have to have both the building up and the breaking down process to have a healthy living organism. That is called metabolism. For metabolism to function optimally, it needs to have a lot of cofactors, it needs to have enzymes, the body has to be the right temperature, it has to be the right pH. There's a lot of things that go into making that metabolic process not function or just kind of be struggling along, kind of happening, or what makes it just purr, like my dad's BMW engine, just purring along. All right, so if your metabolism is totally messed up, you will have a disorder of energy utilization and distribution. So energy in the body is fat. Well, you may think, okay, this is just for somebody who has extra fat. And that's actually not true, because you can have a poor distribution of fat and still be a thin looking person. So it's not really necessarily what you look like. It's more of what kind of fat you have in you and how it's distributed. And it can also be, you could have normal fat, but it could also be the utilization of the energy. So you could have a problem with not having enough vitality in your system. And that can be really affected by your metabolism as well. So let's talk about fat for a minute, because it's such a hot topic. And again, I have so much to say about this. I cannot wait until later in the year when I can talk to you for 1 or 2 hours about the topic of fat, because it is so loaded. It is so hot. Nobody even wants to say the frickin' word. And so I would like to dive in there with you guys. So, but what is fat? Fat in your body is stored energy. It's your energy potential. How many of you feel like you don't have enough energy, but you have a ton of extra fat? There's something about where you can even switch some of your mindset around this and start utilizing that energy in a better way. The body has got to have fat to survive. It absolutely has to have fat for brain function, for your hormones, for your neurotransmitters, for your immune system. You have to have fat to go there. It's also, fat is fascinating because it's also a very safe place to shove things that you can't deal with right now. It's like the closet under the stairs or down the hall, that place that you don't have to look at every single day. It's not like the counter in your kitchen. And it's, you could shove stuff that you don't want to deal with right now. You can't handle. So we do that with our emotions. Some people are surprised to find out that we store emotions in our fat. We also store toxic chemicals. So the chemicals in our air, in our food, those chemicals get shoved in, and heavy metals land in our fat. And our body does this to protect us. So your fat may actually be protecting you from a toxic overload of something that you're not ready to handle yet. There's a term called toxic fat, which actually has 2 different meanings. So one of them is this toxic fat that I'm talking about, with the chemicals and the emotions and things and like that in it. The second kind of toxic fat that we see in a metabolic disorder, and this kind of toxic fat is called visceral fat. And this fat gets into the organs. It gets into the liver, causes fatty liver. It gets into the heart and causes cardiac heart disease. It gets into the vessels and can cause hypertension and blood clots and things like that. So this visceral fat is really toxic. And you can be thin and still have this kind of fat. Visceral fat, any kind of fat can begin to trigger its own inflammatory cascade, but visceral fat is particularly potent in this. It's very inflammatory. So you start getting this vicious cycle of inflammation in the organs, and this is part of the reason why it's so toxic. Syndrome X is when someone has a high level of this inflammation in their body. The fat cells, like I said, are in the liver, they're in the cardiac, they tend to have hypertension, they have insulin resistance, because that's really a key part of the whole metabolic disorders, having an insulin imbalance. So they have prediabetes or diabetes or frank heart disease, and this affects everything. It affects your mood, it affects your energy, it affects your pain level, it affects your joints, it affects your ability to think. Absolutely everything is affected. And, so many functions are controlled by your metabolism. It's no wonder that my patient nailed it. He was completely inflamed, and he had something called Syndrome X. A sign of this can be a thicker waistline. We talk about that, you're healthier. There's something called the apple shape and the pear shape, and the apple shape is when you have a thicker midsection. And that definitely is considered less healthy, because that is more likely that you're going to have some of that visceral fat in your organs that are in your abdomen if you have more abdominal fat. It's actually healthier to have more adipose tissue on the hips and on the buttocks, and that's considered more of the pear shape. And so when you're sort of looking at somebody or looking at yourself, you go, I've got the midsection is developing. That might be a sign that you may have more of this toxic fat. And again, you can still look thin and have the toxic fat. It's this, So a big concern with metabolic disorders is that it totally, completely, 100% is triggered by the typical American lifestyle. It is that high sugar, high alcohol, sedentary, where you're just sitting, not doing enough stuff, and high stress. That lifestyle just would drive every single one of us down to this metabolic syndrome, which is the beginning of a whole host of chronic illnesses that none of us want to have. And the thing is that I think that even though we may be choosing some parts of having a healthy lifestyle, it still can affect us. So if you just live a typical American lifestyle where you're eating all of these different foods, you're going to get sick unless you happen to just be lucky with these super, super crazy good genes. The good news is that this is caused by lifestyle, and it can easily be stopped and reversed by doing lifestyle things as well. So optimizing your metabolism and choosing to focus this for your New Year's health resolution is a really great idea. And doTERRA is brilliant to come up with this plan. They have created this gorgeous ebook that I cannot wait till you guys get your hands on it. I got to have a little sneak preview of it, and it is so pretty. It has recipes, it has these daily wellness things to do like skin brushing. It's really has some things that you can set your goals in there. It's like super great. So definitely keep your eyes out for when that's available to you, because you're going to want to download it and use it. They've really thought this program out super well. And, you know, a lot of us kind of went off the rails for the holidays, and this is a really great time to just reset things. Instead of throwing your hands up and going, I can't do anything, it's my metabolism. You can do so much to help yourself. And I want to say that this is not like, this reset program is really great for the extent that it goes on, but it's really about beginning to establish lifestyle habits that you can have for a lifetime, because this really is a lifestyle shift. Shifting your lifestyle is what's going to get you the health and the vibrancy that you want for the long term. The core of the program is taking 3 different doTERRA products and then also incorporating these wonderful lifestyle tips. So it's Lifelong Vitality Pack, Yarrow Palm, and Slim and Sassy. Lifelong Vitality Pack. So you've probably heard, or maybe you haven't, that Lifelong Vitality Pack has the equivalent of 12 different fruits and vegetables in it. So I'm going to be honest right now and say, I hate saying that. I totally hate saying that, because there's absolutely no way that a capsule can be the equivalent of 12 fruits and vegetables in your diet. So I want to say that please do eat your fruits and vegetables. You get so much from that. You get fiber that becomes a really nice household for the good bacteria in your gut. You get fluids in the fruits and vegetables that is not the same as water and helps your cells function better. You get so much nutrition from the live foods when you eat them. So please eat your fruits and vegetables. However, what the Lifelong Vitality Pack does, and why we say that there are the 12 fruits and vegetables in there, is because you have to have these things called cofactors to be able to have all the metabolic, the breakdown and building processes work properly. You have got to have those cofactors. Those cofactors are what our vitamins and nutrients, those are what the cofactors are made up of. So taking the Lifelong Vitality Pack means that you have all the ingredients for that. You can't bake a cake without some kind of flour. Like you need a grain flour or a nut flour. You need some sort of liquid. You need a raising agent like an egg or some baking soda or something to make it rise, right? Same thing in your body. If you're going to build something, you need to have the ingredients for that. So that's what the Lifelong Vitality Pack is. It is just fantastic because it is such a good base level. I have a number of patients who are really struggling with all different kinds of things, hard times in their life, addictions, deep mental emotional disorders, all kinds of stuff. And the ones that are the most nutrient poor, when I put them on the Lifelong Vitality Pack, I love getting them on that, because I just notice a difference, and so do they right away, just because they have that baseline, that level thing set up. The Lifelong Vitality Pack also contains omega-3 oils, which are super powered anti-inflammatories. And if you combine your omega-3s with your probiotic, then you have a supercharged anti-inflammatory. For the geeks out there, you may have heard of like this Th1 pathway for autoimmune, Th2 for your allergies. Well, there's another pathway called Th17. And when you take your probiotics and your omega-3s, you end up not even needing to worry about if you're Th1 or Th2 dominant, because you just get both of those things come into balance when you take your omega-3s and your probiotics together. So super great to do those. The Lifelong Vitality Pack also contains the CRS, which is a really wonderful combination of herbs and oils for anti-inflammatory and also for liver support and detoxification. So we all need that in this day and age. So it's just a really great power pack. And then the Metabolic Reset combines that with 2 combination oils. So the first is Yarrow Palm, which is an amazing oil. The palm in yarrow palm is made from pomegranate, which is the fruit of life in Armenia, where my family comes from. And it's made from the seeds. And inside the seeds is something called fucinic acid. Now, the yarrow palm has a lot of different attributes, but when we're talking about metabolism, the reason the yarrow palm is amazing is because it goes to the root of the problem with metabolic disorders. The root of the problem with metabolic disorders is really the sugar and stress combined, because it develops this thing called insulin resistance. And that is the root of all evil for so many different illnesses, including Alzheimer's and things like that. So what happens is that when we are stressed out, our cortisol levels rise, and it begins to alter the way our body metabolizes sugar. And we actually increase the amount of sugar in our body because the body thinks we need it to run away from the tiger. But we often don't, because we're usually still eating a bar of chocolate or a Big Mac or something at the same time that we're stressed out. So we end up getting too much sugar that the body can't handle, and that stress response really wreaks havoc with the body's ability to store away the excess sugar properly. And then you get that along with the toxic fat, you get this increased level of inflammation going on. And so you have the sugar and the stress combined, the high sugar diet that we have, the high carbohydrate diet that we have, and we end up getting down that downlay of that toxic fat in our tissues. What the fucinic acid does, it's been proven over and over and over again in a ton of animal studies that I've researched, where the fucinic acid goes in and actually reverses the insulin resistance. That is amazing. I mean, that is really incredible, because that is what is needed. And because it reverses the insulin resistance, that also, it begins to allow the body to release the fat, that toxic fat that's in the cells. The yarrow is very powerful, is a super crazy antioxidant. It is very soothing and sort of calming to the system. And the two of those together produce these huge anti-inflammatory, antioxidant effect. And it also helps recharge the whole ATP system, that the energy making machine in your cells, which is also part of your metabolism. So it really boosts that part up. So you can see how you're getting like a myriad of positive effects from the yarrow palm to handle metabolic disorders. I actually have this personal theory. I know a number of you released a whole bunch of weight, which is great, with taking the yarrow palm in the past. And some of you are wondering, well, will that happen to me too? I honestly can't tell you for sure, because you're not right here in front of me and I can't see you. But I have a personal theory that I would love to be proven if anybody wants to spearhead this with doTERRA's research group, which is that the people that are losing the most weight with yarrow palm have the most toxic fat, and that the body's releasing that. I don't see yarrow palm as a weight loss supplement at all. I see yarrow palm as a balancing. It's a hormone and metabolic balancer. So it's going to bring you into a healthier state of homeostasis. So sometimes when we dump fat, that toxic fat, we can kind of feel bad effects of it. So we can start feeling the effect of the toxins being released into our circulation and get headaches or feel cranky or kind of feel achy, like we've got a little bit of the flu. And we're like, what the heck is up with me? Or it can be releasing those emotions, because the emotions that we had when we built in that fat gets glommed up. They actually create these like glomerular little molecules in our body of toxins and emotions and all of that, and they stick together. And so when they get released, we have to deal with them. So you might find yourself like you went on this crazy crash weight loss thing or detox, and then all of a sudden you're all up again about the boyfriend that you broke up with months or years ago. And you're sitting there crying and you want to call him up because you're thinking, maybe I should have broke up with him after all. Or maybe you're sitting there and you're just like utterly depressed and you're like, what is up? I like fit in that dress that I bought for myself and now I just don't even feel like going out. That may be because you're dealing with some of the emotions that got released in there. So I know that sounds really scary, but enter Slim and Sassy, you guys. This is brilliant, because Slim and Sassy is also known as the metabolic blend. It has grapefruit, lemon, peppermint, cinnamon, and ginger in it. This oil combination supports the filtration of toxins and increases the uptake of nutrients. It increases the cofactors. It helps you utilize the nutrients that you have in your body from your lifelong vitality pack and the food that you eat. You also need to get the toxins out of your cells so that your mitochondria, that energy making machine, can function better. And also all the other cellular functions work better when you have optimal energy. It also, this lemon sassy also increases the uptakes of the nutrients, and also to support that anabolic process, that Lego building process. So this increases the anabolic and catabolic process of metabolism. And on a physical level, the lemon and the grapefruit oil, the citrus oils, really helps the liver filtration and detoxification, particularly through, there's a phase 1 and phase 2 detox, and it helps the bridge between phase 1 and phase 2. Sometimes what happens is we detoxify in the phase 1, but then you end up with these metabolites that are super toxic to your body, and you really need to make sure it gets into the phase 2. Well, that's what the citrus oils do. So you've got the lemon and the grapefruit, and they're helping your body filter and detoxify all this kind of stuff. And then the peppermint and the ginger and the cinnamon, they transform and transport nutrients into the organs. Like, how cool is that? They allowing for that, again, allowing for that anabolic process in the cells to work better. So the yarrow palm helps you release the toxic fat and the toxins in your body. And the Slim and Sassy and the Lifelong Vitality Pack support you in handling the potential toxins that get released in your body. But wait, there is more. You know how we are physical, emotional, and spiritual beings, like so much so. On an emotional level, the Slim and Sassy blend is also extremely supportive and helps improve the low sense of self-worth we tend to have with our bodies that leads to becoming the vicious cycle of overeating. So I'm actually just going to read straight from this lovely book, okay? And this is so beautiful. The metabolic blend can support individuals in releasing the heavy emotions which contribute to physical and emotional pounds. It encourages them to find feelings of self-worth. As they accept their body, as is the mind, the body can move more easily, move towards its ideal self-expression. Metabolic blend encourages individuals to rise above the self-judgment by embracing the body's natural beauty and inherent value, regardless of weight, shape, and size. Isn't that beautiful? Because honestly, that is really what it's about. It's about loving ourselves and appreciating who we are, because from that place, we can really create a very healthy lifestyle for ourselves. So the Slim and Sassy is brilliant because on a physical level, it's really helping you detoxify and metabolize. And then on an emotional level, it's helping you reconnect with yourself, with your heart, with your beauty. So these supplements and these oils are totally like magic, and this protocol is great that they put together. But that's not enough, you guys. It's not enough. We have to, have I said that enough times? We have to also incorporate the lifestyle changes. You can't sit there and be stressed out in traffic and just drive and sit in front of your computer or your television set and eat junk food and expect these things to like completely shift everything in your life. You might be one of the lucky few that actually would work for, but most of us really, it's so much better if we incorporate the lifestyle. And it seems so simple because you've heard it all before, right? You need to eat right, increase your vegetables, and eat, healthy proteins, and eat regularly. Some of you aren't eating enough. Get enough sleep, reduce your stress, stay hydrated, and move. But how come we don't do it? Or how can we do one? Like, you might be somebody who's great at exercising, but you don't eat enough food, Josie. Or you might be somebody who is really great at eating wonderful food and you move your body, but you don't manage your stress well enough. So there's always these places where we can all use improvement, myself included. So my real big question is, how come we don't do these things that we know that we should do? We've heard it so many times before. And I really find that just from being in this body for all these years and from 20 years of clinical experience, is because we're not in alignment with our subconscious belief patterns. And we can say, oh, I really want to be healthy, or I'm going to stop drinking. I'm going to keep the wine down to just like one glass on the weekends. Or I'm not going to like plow through the whole chocolate bar. I'm just going to have one piece of chocolate. We can say these things, but the conscious thought is only 5 to 7% of your brain. You think about that. Imagine like a big, huge pie, and think about like just 5 to 7%. It's a tiny, tiny freaking slice. The rest of it is your subconscious mind. That is where the power is. That is the power of our mind, is in the subconscious. And that is The subconscious contains the ability to control your heart rate and your breathing rate and your metabolism, things like that. And it also contains every single visual experience you've had, auditory, emotional, that you've had from in utero till present. And we now know that it's also true that we learn things and we store things in our subconscious mind from experiences of our ancestors. A lot of people with food issues, they find that their grandparents or great-grandparents were in the Depression. And so there's this real thing of lack. I've had to deal with that too, because I had the Armenian genocide in my past. And I had to really work through my subconscious to feel like it's safe and okay if my fridge isn't full of food. I don't need to have more than I need today. So, let's see, I forget where I am. So, you know, if you believe that you're safer in a larger body, or you're still connected to that inner child that feels like food is the only way that it can feel love, or you believe, or that adult equivalent of drinking more alcohol, and that's how you feel the love and the connection, or if you integrated and took in the negative stuff that was said around you, or that you experienced other people feeling, and you don't think that you're worthy, you don't think that you're lovable, you don't think that you're good enough as you are, I'm telling you, you can start some sort of lifestyle change or some sort of quote unquote diet, but it's not going to last, because that's what's going to win. It's going to, the 95% in your subconscious, those beliefs, those are going to take over, and that's going to win, which is why I think that we get up in the cycle of, oh, I'm going to try this, I'm going to try this, I'm going to try this, I'm going to try this. What we really want is we want to have lasting change. We want to have prolonged health, because really our life is not about this body. Our life is about our spirit. And we need to take care of this body because it holds the spirit. And that's why we need to take care of this vessel. All right. So, you know, I frankly say that this whole subconscious would really be the first place to start, because then choosing which lifestyle things you're going to bring in or what you're going to do about your food, all that becomes so much easier, because there isn't the fight. The subconscious mind is a lot like a 3-year-old. And, you know, arguing with a 3-year-old is really tough. And if you could get in alignment with that 3-year-old and you guys are on the same flow, the day is so much better. And you mamas and papas, you know what I'm talking about. You want to be in alignment with your 3-year-old subconscious mind so that your life is easy and fun. So because of this, I want to share with you in the next few weeks some really super easy techniques in order for you to be able to utilize your subconscious mind. Now, the oils do access the subconscious, which is part of why I just love them. They go in the limbic brain and they do affect how we think and how we feel, which is awesome. But I find that it's not quite enough for some people. And you really need to, if you double down and use the oils and the subconscious techniques, oh my gosh, it's like life changes, just changes. It's amazing. So next week, I'm actually going to be on live a week from today. I'm going to be on live with this really amazing guy, JC. He's a high-level coach for entrepreneurs and for executives and athletes. He's one of those, you know, athletes that trains all those crazy Olympians and stuff. And he's going to be joining me, and we're going to be talking about the subconscious mind and how he uses it in his work and how I use it in mine. Completely invite you guys to join us with that. And then there's also the following Facebook Live that I do with you guys. I'm going to walk you through some really specific steps of how you can start using your subconscious mind for your benefit and accessing that. We'll see how it goes and what the interest level is. I had some ideas this weekend of how we might turn into like a little mini workshop online. So if there's interest and you guys are intrigued and want to do that, please let me know, because I'll put the time and effort into creating that for you if you're interested in doing it. And, you know, I just, in the meantime, you guys, please, let us know. Like, so many of you wrote in and said that you had issues with weight, which is honestly why I'm doing this. The next Facebook Live will be specifically about how do you use your subconscious mind to address to get into a healthy weight zone, which is the terminology that I use. It's healthy weight. And how do you get it to love yourself more? Because so many of you asked for that. You wanted to work on mindset and you wanted to work on weight loss. Those of you who have not written into us, please do. You have no idea, like, the brain wealth that you have in this group, and we could support you better if you let us know what you need to be doing. So in the meantime, if you want to kickstart this whole metabolism thing, I created a free little PDF guide on healthy foods to eat in the wintertime. They're like warming, nourishing foods. That's going to be posted up on the thing. Just go ahead and grab that if you're interested in checking that out. Definitely order your Lifelong Vitality Pack, your Yarrow Palm, and your Slim and Sassy. The Slim and Sassy comes as a straight up oil in capsules or in the gum, and I love the gum. I like chewing it when I'm working on stuff. And so order those things, and keep your eyes out for all the little juicy little tips that are going to start coming through on resetting your metabolism. I can't wait to do this with you guys. I'm totally using it myself to just up level my health goals for this winter. I really appreciate, I really do appreciate all you guys for being here today. You didn't have to be here. And the healthier we are, the more we can shine our light, the more we shine our light, the more it inspires others to shine theirs. And that's really what we're here to do. So I love you guys all so much. Dr. Jenny Tufenkian with a reminder to love. Just let me know if you have any questions, and have an awesome day.